for another round of storms this evening. Storm Team 18 Chief Meteorologist Chad Evans joins us now with an update. Hey, Chad.
Yeah, hey there, Jeff and Sam. We had some storms last night, then a break, a hot, muggy day. Round one's gone through. It moves so quickly in the north, not necessarily a lot of rainfall. A lot of 10th and quarter-inch amounts here. Heaviest rains, Tippecanoe County back to Warren County. A few places got an inch out of this round this afternoon, and there goes racing through the area. A few gusts up to 55, 56 miles an hour in the heart of the viewing area, but really it was the far northern tier that had the worst. Northern Newton, northern Jasper County had gusts up around 80 and a lot of tree damage up around DeMont and Roselawn, and a few accounts of tree damage here from Miami over to Cass and parts of Pulaski and Fulton counties as well. In the meantime, though, a little lingering rain and maybe a rumble of thunder from Rushville up to Logansport, Denver, Mexico, east of Brookston, around Ash Grove back to Delphi and Frankfort. This is all pulling away, the last of the storms near Waveland pulling away. And here we go, boom. This storm has blown up again right along the Kankakee River. Hot, unstable air is on the move back northward, and as our cold front, our better shear and our trough approach, we're starting to see storms fire in Illinois. You can see how quickly the skies clear near US 41 and points westward. New severe thunderstorm watch up in central Illinois. And here come the new storms developing off to the west, and those will be on the move eastward this evening. So in the next few hours, storms evolving in Illinois, moving eastward. At the very least, a slight risk of severe weather. Main threats wind, though can't rule out an isolated brief spin up of a tornado, brief isolated hail, and a few pockets of street flooding. We'll talk more about when this all gets out and how Labor Day weekend is shaping up next.
Thank you, Chad. We continue to follow a joyride rampage over the weekend involving 6 school buses. News 18's Joe Paul spoke with police and school officials as they continue to assess the damage tonight. He shares more on what's next for this investigation.
This is the aftermath of a playground at We Are Ridge Elementary School after police say vandals stole 6 school buses and took them on out-of-control joyrides that turned into demolition derbies.
We arrived Sunday morning. First thing I saw was the playground, and it was just devastating.
Police say vandals in the middle of the night stole 6 school buses and destroyed everything in their path.
We're shocked that someone would do this.
Sue Scott is the communications coordinator for Tippecanoe School Corporation.
Right now, the fencing is easily over $100,000 in damage, plus to the buses and then now to our playground.
Like somebody went on a joyride and didn't know what they were doing, but just absolutely wanted to wreak havoc and be a nuisance and cause a mess and break things, and that's exactly what they did.
Sheriff Bob Goldsmith says the bus thieves plowed through fencing, rammed into basketball poles, crashed into a playground, and even went off-roading.
It just blows your mind that somebody would do something like this, especially to school buses. It's terrible. You know, you have taxpayer dollars, a way for our kids to get to school to learn, and they tear everything up. So it's horrible.
Police believe the vandals jumped a fence where TSC stored several decommissioned buses, then stole keys hidden inside the vehicles.
And I know our detectives are still working hard with the schools, making contact with people in the area to see if anybody had surveillance cameras so we can get some leads and run those things down and hopefully bring this to a very quick resolution.
For now, the playground remains closed.
We're still assessing the damage, and we want all the playground equipment to be inspected before we're able to reopen it, just for everyone's safety.
The bus thefts and extensive damage remain under investigation. Anyone with information should call 765-423-9321. Reporting in Tippecanoe County, Joe Paul, News 18.
Well, happening right now, a special memorial for the victims of the deadly Indiana State crash. The memorial will honor Christian Eubanks, Jaden Muesli, and Caleb Van Hooser. Former Harrison High School football star O'Marion Dixon was a passenger in the car. Dixon was in the crash last weekend that killed his 3 teammates. A family spokesperson says Dixon is now out of the ICU and is eating and talking to visitors in his room. We're told that he has a long recovery ahead, though. There's no word yet on whether he'll play football anytime soon. One Purdue fraternity has been ordered to cease and desist. That order coming from the organization's national headquarters. Concerns regarding Lambda Phi Epsilon's activities were shared with both the university and the organization's national headquarters. Those concerns include hazing, sexual assault, and academic dishonesty, according to the Purdue exponent. They're now being investigated by the university. The fraternity will have the opportunity to respond via Purdue's Multicultural Greek Council judicial process in the coming weeks. We're waiting on toxicology results concerning a deadly crash in Carroll County. A Lafayette man is dead after crashing his pickup early Sunday morning. That was around 2:30 in the morning. Authorities responded to a report of a truck that was on its side southeast of Delphi. It happened on State Road 25, just south of County Road 200 North. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office provided the pictures that you see on your screen right now. Police say 44-year-old Ryan King was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected through the truck's sunroof. Investigators believe he was northbound when he drove off the right side of the road and overcorrected. The truck flipped several times after hitting guardrails on the left side of the road. High speed and alcohol are thought to be factors.
News 18 is partnering with Hero Fund USA to host a day-long telethon for first responders. Since 2016, the organization has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for emergency personnel across the United States. The Missouri-based nonprofit uses the funds to purchase state-of-the-art personal protection equipment. The organization has provided items like water rescue equipment, drones, and bunker gear to more than 45 agencies around the country. CEO Daryl Smith says 100% of the money raised locally stays in local police stations, fire departments, and emergency management centers. Smith says he started Hero Fund USA to fill a critical need for first responders and their families.
There's not one organization in the country that is dedicated solely to providing funding for first responder safety equipment and resources to help ensure that the first responders, that he or she get to go home to their loved ones after they're done serving and protecting our family, our friends, our neighbors.
Smith says the fundraising campaigns also serve as a way to strengthen the connection between residents and their emergency personnel. News 18's inaugural First Responders Safety Giving Day is next Tuesday, September 6th from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Rents around the country have been high for quite some time now, and our area is no exception. News 18's Marcus Truccio has more on the current state of the local rental market.
If you're looking into buying a home, the market has cooled off a bit since the beginning of summer, but it's a different story for renters. They're lucky if they can even find a place with openings.
The answer to the questions of why renters are still having a hard time is simple: high demand and not enough supply. According to President of Shook Property Management, Rachel Shook, between industries moving to town, attracting workers, and Purdue not having enough housing for their own students, the demand is high. But she says apartment buildings can only be built so fast. She also says of her properties, none of them currently have vacancies.
I don't see rents going down at all. I think once rents are where they are, they maybe will stabilize at this point, but I do not see anybody lowering their rents at this point. I mean, all the new apartment buildings downtown, the ones that we manage, are full all the time. We have a waiting list already for August of 2023.
Shook adds that with current interest rates, mortgage payments might be similar to some rent payments. Reporting from Lafayette, Marcus Truccio, News 18.
Well, 3 days and counting until the home opener between Purdue and Penn State. Sports 18's Bree Shackelford has a preview of this week's matchup. Bree?
Well, it's the best time of the year because it's the first week of college football. Purdue kicks off its season in just a few short days while they'll be taking on Big Ten opponent Penn State. Now, the history of this game dates all the way back to the 50s, but looking at more recent games, the Boilermakers last played the Nittany Lions in 2019 where they lost 35-7. Head coach Jeff Brom says that he's not concerned about the past and that he's focused on the present. Brom tells Sports 18 that the upside to playing a great opponent in Week 1 means that his team has been focusing on this game for a while. In fact, he says that they've been ready since the offseason to get started, and they're looking to build off the success they had from last year. Now it's go time, and the Boilermakers will need to play an extra special brand of football in order to come out victorious on Thursday night.
Our guys have a chip on their shoulder. They all think they've been overlooked to a certain degree, and they're out to prove themselves. They're willing to put in the work to get it done. They love playing great opponents. I do feel like we have some experience, so you hope that can help you as you get going. But at the same time, it's a new team. It's a new year, and new players have to step up and emerge.
According to Tom Deinhart with the Golden Black, Jalen Graham, Branson Dean, Jamari Brown, Corey Trice, and Brock Thompson will all be ready to go for the first game of the year. The Penn State game is set to kick off on Thursday at 8. Back to you.
The Frenzy Game of the Week is sponsored by Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl.
Voting is now open for our Frenzy Game of the Week. Here are the people teams, you can choose from: Northwestern versus Lafayette Central Catholic, Clinton Central versus Clinton Prairie, Lewis Cass versus Benton Central. Sports 18's Kelly Hallinan will be live this Friday at 5 and 6. She'll have the full highlights of the game at 11. You can vote right now at WLFI.com. Remember, voting closes Wednesday at 4 p.m.
Well, coming up next, our Indiana Farm Report explores a popular outdoor attraction. Find out why this year has been a challenging one for the folks running Exploration Acres.
And later, our Game of the Week voting is now open. You can find out which games made the cut for our Frenzy Showcase.
You're watching News 18 at 6. News from where you live.
Well, Exploration Acres is getting ready to open for the season on September 16th, but it's been a challenging year for the farm.
While everything, including the 23 acres corn maze, is ready for guests to enjoy, it took a lot of work to get to this point. In today's Indiana Farm Report, Marley Thomas spoke to the co-owner of Exploration Acres to find out some of the challenges they had to overcome.
Folks are just going to have to be happy with the corn maze and the pumpkins this year.
This is what the sunflower maze looked like last year at Exploration Acres, but this right here is what it looks like now. Exploration Acres co-owner Tim Fitzgerald says it's due to the dry conditions we saw during the summer.
So two things happened. We had problems with germination, and then a lot of the chemicals that we put down to suppress weed growth, they're called pre-emergents, they did not work.
And because of that, weeds took over.
We ended up just having to spray our entire sunflower maze that we'd created and kill it.
Fitzgerald says the same germination issue happened with the pumpkins. After he planted them, 2.5 weeks passed and still nothing was up.
I made the decision to install our 10 miles of drip irrigation early that we put out every year just as insurance in case we have a real dry growing season. We had to actually use it to germinate the pumpkin plants.
It was a good thing he made that decision because now the pumpkins are in good shape. But as for the 23-acre corn maze,
while we were dealing with the sunflowers and the pumpkins, trying to keep those crops alive, we had some foxtail and some timothy creep up in our corn maze.
He said the chemicals to suppress the weeds in the corn maze didn't work, so the spraying began.
We had to literally go in and start spraying. We spent about 2.5 weeks with an ATV hand spraying those with a wand. About 15 of the 23 acres had to be sprayed by hand down in between the rows, down the paths to kill the grass, to reclaim the maze.
After a lot of work, the corn maze and the pumpkin patch are both thriving right now. However, Fitzgerald says they definitely had to overcome some challenges to get to this point.
Everything's canopied, they look healthy. We do have quite a few pumpkins set back there, and we just brought about 100,000 bees in a few weeks ago, and they're busy pollinating. So we should be in good shape, I think.
In Tippecanoe County, Marley Thomas, News 18.
Fitzgerald says they're going to do the sunflower maze again next year, and they hope the weather will cooperate. The theme for the corn maze this year is zombies. Exploration Acres opens for the season on Friday, September 16th.
Coming up next, a story that'll put a smile on your face, a hero's welcome home for a Little League team that almost completed the impossible dream.
All right, the sun is appearing now in our western counties, and it is very hot and unstable in Illinois. You see the new storms developing. A new severe thunderstorm watch just issued now covers Newton, Jasper, and Benton County until 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about what will eventually form out here and the time frame of severe weather risk returning to the area here next.
You're watching News 18 at 6. News from where you live.
Welcome back. A hero's welcome home for a Little League team from Indiana.
For the past couple of weeks, we've been following the story of the Hagerstown Little League team. They qualified to head out to Pennsylvania as the smallest town team to ever take part in the Little League World Series. The team managed to win their first game before losing their next two. It was still an amazing run for the team. The community showed its appreciation for the team's efforts this past weekend with a parade right through town.
And now, your Storm Team 18 forecast. Weather from where you live.
All right, the first round of storms is out of here. Now we're watching what's forming off to our northwest. First things first, still a little rain around Peru, back down to near Burlington and Galveston of Frankfurt. That's pulling away. The storm's pulling towards Indy, but a new storm, pretty vigorous storm, has cranked up here northwest of Rensselaer as some of that really hot, unstable air tries to move northeastward, and also some of the higher shear from Iowa and western Illinois is now beginning to move into central Illinois and approaching our northwestern counties. So got a little supercell storm here north of Rensselaer. There could be a little pea or dime-sized hail associated with this one as it works kind of eastward towards northwestern Pulaski County, and perhaps a gust up to 55 miles an hour. A lot of cloud ground lightning in that storm. Then we look westward and southwestward. New storms are firing here west central and central Illinois. Out in this area, temperatures have been running well into the 90s. Heat indices well above 100 degrees, and it is very unstable. So these storms should continue to explode over the next hour to 2 hours, and eventually will probably form a line here that will sweep through our viewing area with time late this evening and into the early overnight hours. Already new severe thunderstorm watch, Newton, Jasper, Benton counties. That goes until 11 o'clock tonight, and the watches go right through central Illinois. Some of this may be expanded eastward. The big question is how much of an impact this line of storms will have, because it's still a little cooler in our eastern counties. It will all depend on how much warmer and unstable we get in our viewing area. That'll determine how widespread the wind and isolated tornado threat is later on this evening and into the early overnight. So that said, still the risk of severe weather. It's a slight risk for much of the viewing area. Technically, it's still an enhanced risk for parts of our northern and northeastern counties. Main threat would be some scattered severe gusts, isolated hail, isolated brief weak tornado EF0, and then some isolated or localized street flooding. So Futurecast shows the line forming here. This is around 8:30. Here it is moving southeastward. This is 9:30. By 11:30, it's already exiting the area. Still a little lingering rain. That pulls away. Couple spotty lingering showers tomorrow morning, midday, then an improving afternoon. And then we are dry. Not so bad, pretty seasonable to end the week before we heat up, especially by the weekend. It's going to be up into the 90s and going to feel like near 100 degrees. And we'll have to watch this. This could very well be a landfalling hurricane on the Gulf Coast. At some point, either at the very end of Labor Day weekend, Labor Day itself, or maybe day after. Again, there's some question on the timing. There's tomorrow, couple showers, mix of clouds and sun, then becoming mostly sunny, breezy from the northwest, and the humidity dropping during the afternoon with high 79 to 84. Your 70 forecast, normal high is 81. We'll be to 82 Wednesday, 84 Thursday, lows in the 50s, fog about every morning. Back up to 87 Friday, then it's just downright hot and humid for the weekend. 91 Sunday, back to 92 on Monday.